Hello and welcome back to the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast, the podcast about industrial hemp from Lancaster Farming Newspaper, the greatest agricultural newspaper in the world, published right here in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Hi there, I'm your host, Eric Hurlock. Today I'm also your tour guide and driver. That's right, because we are going on a journey. Taking a road trip. We're headed up to Cornell University's Agritech campus in Geneva, New York, right there on the northern edge of Lake Seneca, the beautiful Finger Lakes. We're going to spend a couple of episodes there in Geneva. On this episode today, we're going to hear my recap of the Fiber and Grain Field Day hosted there by Cornell University at the College of Agricultural and Life Sciences, Cornell's Agritech campus in Geneva. And then on the next episode, which will also be coming out this week, we're going to go in a little deeper. We're going to hear my conversations with Agritech Director Christine Smart, plus Cornell hemp geneticist Larry Smart, plus a couple of PhD students, Luis Monserrate and Jane Hamilton. That's next week's episode. But today's episode, oh boy, we have some fun in store for you. The morning session took place in Jordan Hall, covered ag and markets, Cornell hemp breeding and animal feed research. And then the afternoon session took place in the field. There was the fiber and grain hemp variety trials, demonstrations of a combine, baling and decortication, plus the planting date trial of Ursa Grande. So it was a great day, start to finish, excellent programming, excellent organization, excellent content. We're going to take a quick break right now to hear from our sponsors, then a few nuggets of hemp news from our friends over there at hemptoday.net, and then we're off to the races. Let's go. This episode is brought to you in part by I&D Hemp in Fort Benton, Montana, where they believe in the goodness of hemp. I&D Hemp is a family-owned, mission-driven industrial hemp food, feed, and fiber company that's providing new opportunities for American farmers. Learn more at indhemp.com. This episode is also made possible with support from Forever Green, distributors of the KP4 hemp cutter, introducing a revolution in hemp harvesting. Setting a new standard for harvesting quality, speed, and efficiency, the KP4 prepares hemp for ideal retting and easy on-field tedding, raking, and baling. It's easy to maintain and designed to withstand the punishments of hemp harvesting. The KP4 hemp cutter, available only at hempcutter.com. The show is also brought to you with support from the National Hemp Association. If you're in the fiber and grain hemp space, you should know about the National Hemp Association. Industrial hemp is rooted in farms and built for industry, and NHA is working to build supply chains, support rural development, and push for the policy changes that fiber and grain producers need. Learn more and get involved at nationalhempassociation.org. All right, before we dive into my trip to Cornell, we got a handful of news nuggets here for you this week. What week is it? I don't know. It's like the second or third week of September 2025. These news nuggets come to us directly from hemptoday.net, the global leader in hemp news. So, Democrat senators led by Ron Wyden and Jeff Merkley are pushing a framework to ban synthetic hemp intoxicants while keeping CBD legal in foods, supplements, and cosmetics. The plan sets age limits, standardized labeling, and third-party testing, a direct counter to efforts by Mitch McConnell to recriminalize hemp with any quantifiable THC. The Trump administration's deregulatory push has ironically added more red tape for hemp. Attorney General Pam Bondi canceled 2 Biden-era rules that would have eased CBD research and expanded hemp testing labs, leaving scientists and farmers stuck with the DEA bottlenecks and higher costs. In Texas, Governor Greg Abbott has issued an executive order on intoxicating hemp. Sales to minors banned, stronger labeling and enforcement required, and a likely 21 and up age limit. Missouri is weighing similar crackdowns, while hemp shops in Abilene are suing police over raids they say targeted legal products. And finally, here's a story about the tariffs. Trump's tariffs are hitting the hemp fiber sector especially hard. Hempitecture says that duties on imported machinery drain project budgets. Hemp Traders reports 55% tariffs on Chinese textiles, and Young Maven has seen exports to Canada plunge nearly 80%. Industry leaders warn the tariffs make investment unpredictable in a sector still finding its footing. Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of questionable things happening, and it's our duty to question them. Okay, welcome back. So, just to set it up a little bit, I have been trying to get to the Cornell Hemp Field Day for a couple of years. Back in 2023, I was invited up. I had big plans to go spend a few days there. But then here in Pennsylvania, there was a criminal on the loose, and there was helicopters flying over my house, and they ended up catching him like half a mile from where I live. So our whole neighborhood was locked down. That was 2 years ago. So I didn't get to Cornell then. And then last year I did get to Cornell, and I left super early in the morning, and I rode up with Cameron McIntosh from Americhamp Cast Hemp because he was speaking there. We drove the 5 hours. We got there. We ate lunch. He gave his presentation, and then he was like, "Come on, Hurlock, let's go." And then we drove 5 hours back. So I didn't get to see the lake. I didn't really get to see the campus. So anyway, this year I planned it a little better, and I spent a few days there, and it was absolutely wonderful. So if you remember on last year's Cornell episode, we heard Steve Groff talking about a white deer that he saw on the way up. And then I did a little digging, and it turns out that there's a place called Deer Haven Park right there. I'll put a link to last year's episode so you can click on that and hear the stories about that. But I went right past it, and, I had my eyes open looking for white deer, and, I didn't really see the speed limit signs. Well, I am sitting here alongside of the road, somewhere in between Ithaca and Geneva. I'm on 96A North. That's the road I'm on. Anyway, I guess I was going a little too fast. The officer said 70 miles an hour, and it was a 55. So I'm sorry about that. Here comes the officer now. Let's see what happens.
Okay, sir. Here's your license back.
Thank you.
I did issue a citation today, okay? 74 is too fast for me.
You got it. You got to do what you got to do.
Nice, so
yep.
I did write you at 69, which is a lower bracket, okay? So it's a little something.
For what it's worth, I appreciate that. Okay? I will. Yeah. What's the deal with the deer? Have you ever seen a white deer around here?
Yeah, tons of them.
Yeah?
Yeah, so,
probably not the best place to tell me about this side of the road. But.
Yeah, I would love to talk about it.
So to make a long story short, everything was fine, and I love Geneva, New York. The morning session at Cornell's Industrial Hemp Field Day focused on hemp for grain and its potential as animal feed. From policy updates to feeding trials, we heard how this crop is moving closer to scale. Larry Smart, professor of plant breeding and genetics and head of the hemp research program at Cornell University, started the day by reminding everyone why the research matters in the first place.
Hemp is an interesting crop. Has a lot of potential, but there's some things that we just don't understand about this crop.
He rattled off the list of speakers and what we were about to talk about.
And you're probably getting the sense that our focus and our initiative this year is to look at hemp and hemp seed meal for the application as an ingredient for animal feed.
And then we were off to the races. First up was Chuck Schmitt from New York's Department of Agriculture and Markets, who explained that federal law still defines the rules of the game, and those rules have not changed.
The total THC is still at 0.3%, which we had hoped with the new farm bill that would go up a bit, because even at 1%, it's really bad marijuana. So 0.3 is restrictively low, and it's one of those.
He also described how New York splits hemp from marijuana between two different agencies. The Department of Ag and Markets oversees hemp, and the Office of Cannabis Management oversees everything else. And it sounds like a big mess, in my opinion.
OCM is a completely different agency. We can't do any adult use because we're beholden to the USDA, and as such, marijuana is federally illegal, so we're not allowed to do anything with marijuana. The OCM was established. I think they took over the marijuana regulations that the Department of Health was doing medical marijuana. That's all moved to the Office of Cannabis Management now that that office is set up. We don't really work together. We try to work together. You would think we would have better communication, but unfortunately I'm here to say we really don't. Many people have said it seems like the OCM is flying the airplane while they're still building it. And you know, that feels very true. We've asked them for cooperation together. We don't always get good cooperation, but we are two separate agencies, which some would say is a lot of excess.
Okay, so that was just a little background on the regulatory landscape in New York State. Next, Cornell PhD candidate Luis Monserrate shared results from his fiber breeding program and what guides his work.
When it comes to breeding or selecting hemp lines, we abide by these 5 overarching criteria. THC compliance, absolutely. We want to maximize fiber yield, so we need to select for late flower individuals when we talk about fiber. And that fiber needs to be easy to decorticate. So that's another important criterion. Then when it comes to dual purpose or grain, we want to maximize the protein content in those seeds. And lastly, we just don't want cultivars that are ideal for New York, but also they are very competitive across different latitudes nationwide.
We will hear again from Luis on the next episode, which will be part 2 of my Cornell field day coverage. I had the chance to sit down for a one-on-one interview with him. Next up was Andrew Bish of the Hemp Feed Coalition and Bish Enterprises in Giltner, Nebraska. He argued that animal feed is the fastest way to scale hemp. Even small adoption in poultry diets would translate into massive acreage.
So if 5% of chickens are eating 20% of their diet in hemp seed meal, you need almost 275,000 acres of hemp grain produced in the United States. We currently don't have enough seed to do that. So that's a challenge. That's where it's important. Anybody here that's working on seed production, genetics, that's crucial because the industry needs that available to it to be able to grow that.
Next up was Raj Kasula from Wenger Feed, who led the landmark laying hen trial that convinced AFCO regulators to approve hemp seed meal for laying hens last year. It was a long process.
It took more than 3 years, including, if you include the research time, it was about 4.5 years. So that was a hell of a long journey, but we are happy. I feel really privileged and proud to be part of this revolution, which I'm sure is going to change a lot of dynamics in the animal feed industry.
His study proved not only that hemp is safe, but that it improves the nutritional profile of eggs, lowering the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio.
The most important thing is the omega-6 to 3 ratio. You can see that with increasing levels of feeding hemp seed cake, the omega-6 to 3 ratio was decreasing, which is the most preferred one. And there is tons of literature which says that the cardiovascular mortality rate, which is like the heart-related death rate, follows the omega-6 to 3 ratio.
Then we shift from laying hens to horses. Cornell's Natalie Trottier tested hemp seed meal as a concentrate for horses. She highlighted its nutritional profile, low in starch, high in protein and fiber, a good fit for equine diets.
Hemp seed meal palatability in horses does not differ from that of rice bran, is superior to other common feeds used to formulate concentrates. We also call them ration balancers. Concentrates formulated with hemp seed meal, an inclusion rate of up to 40%, are nutritionally complete and palatable. We have an adequate lysine to protein for horses, low starch, butter and high in fat, and high in MDF.
And it turns out horses really like hemp seed meal.
We have no refusal, where all the horses lick clean. They lick clean from 0% to 40% of their concentrate. They just ate everything. Nothing was refused. They really enjoyed all of their diets.
Next up was Xuedan, a second-year master's student in Dr. Xing Lei's lab at Cornell. She presented Lei's research on feeding hemp seed meal to broiler chickens, testing different inclusion levels to measure growth, health, and environmental impacts.
So in summary, we have some conclusions. The first one is that the feed use efficiency decreased as the hemp seed meal inclusion increased, but the 5% hemp seed meal group is still workable. It can maintain the feed intake, body weight gain, and the feed use efficiency comparable to the control.
After Xuedan was Cornell dairy scientist Tom Overton, who previewed a major trial just getting underway.
So our plan is 60 Holstein cows at the Cornell Dairy Research Center, which is between 40 and 90 days after calving, and again, we'll get individual feed intakes on these cows. 2-week pre-treatment period to collect baseline data, and then treatments for 16 weeks of control, basically a typical standard control diet, a total mixed ration, and then hemp seed meal at about 6% of diet dry matter.
The study will track all sorts of data points.
So daily milk yield and dry matter intake, again, it's a pretty standard production study. Weekly milk composition, so milk fat, milk protein, lactose, solids, somatic cell count. That's a standard indicator of mastitis or health. And milk urea nitrogen, those will be very standard milk composition profiles. We'll also get profiles of the milk fatty acids.
Up next was our dear friend Morgan Tweet from I&D Hemp, who connected research to market realities. She said animal feed is critical for scaling the industry, but it's also the lowest value outlet.
The feed industry, obviously I'm a big proponent for it. I really do think it is the backbone of our industry's growth. But the reality is it's also the lowest value opportunity in a lot of ways. And so as we grow and we have to kind of endure these growing pains, we have to continue to reach for high valued markets. I would love to see the oil market continue to advance and some opportunities there sort of realized so that we can complement the interest we continue to see on the animal feed sector.
Based on the challenges I&D Hemp has faced in building out their business, she recommends that people sort of change their perspective and think about things in a different order.
Hindsight, I would recommend that you would probably go in the reverse order for your business model and start with your markets where you're trying to sell into, what you're best positioned for, what certifications you need to service those markets, what processing and seed cleaning, and sort of work your way backwards.
The morning closed with a farmer's perspective. Herb Grove of Brush Mountain Bison, you remember Herb, he's been on the show before. He talked about including hemp seed meal in the rations of his animals.
We started the bison industry in 2011, and we started raising hemp in 2019. In 2011, we had 6 head of bison. At the end of last year, we had 300 animals on feed. We also feed beef now as well, so we have 2 different herds.
So his message is this: hemp seed meal didn't accelerate growth rates, but it altered the nutritional composition of the meat, and the animals handled the feed well. So that was the morning session at Cornell. Researchers charting the unknowns, regulators defining the rules, scientists testing feed, processors weighing markets, and farmers putting it all into practice. Together, their voices sketch the beginnings of a hemp grain industry that's still fragile, but taking shape. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll ride out to the afternoon sessions where the focus shifted from science to practice, featuring multi-state variety trials, seed supply, weed management, equipment demonstrations, and a forward-looking discussion on the future of hemp processing. Stay tuned. Welcome back. So the day at Cornell continued. They had lunch for everybody out at the pavilion, and then we climbed into vehicles and caravanned out to the fields. And the day shifted from science into practice. Multi-state trials, seed supply, weed management, equipment demos, and a look toward the future of processing. First up was, dare I say it, hemp legend out of Kentucky, Bob Pearce. Yeah, he's from the University of Kentucky. He described the S1084 multi-state hemp variety trials. This network stretches from Louisiana to Vermont, testing cultivars across environments to learn how they perform at different latitudes.
The ultimate goal is making sure that, a grower in New York knows the cultivars that to pick for that location. A grower in Kentucky or a grower in Tennessee or wherever they may be has the opportunity to choose a cultivar that is well adapted to the conditions that they're going to have in their specific location. So that's the point of that program.
Someone from the crowd surrounding Bob at the edge of that hemp field asked about F1 hybrids. And while Bob said there weren't any hybrids in this multi-state trial, Larry Smart jumped in.
It's a great question about hybrids. I do think that is the future for cultivar development, but it's extremely expensive to develop those hybrids and test them. And for me, it's been a question of, do I assign a student? Do I try to recruit a graduate student to develop all of those inbred lines over multiple years and then do a very vast matrix of crosses? And crosses are hard to do in hemp because of the pollen movement to prove the hybrid vigor. I'll just say we do have a system now for developing hybrids that we think is pretty efficient. And we tested those F1 hybrids last year in the field and saw significant hybrid vigor for a particular trait. And we just need to find the funding to repeat that.
Then Larry introduced Luis Monserrate and research specialist Jacob Bish, who are running the university's small plot trials. These trials test cultivars under uniform conditions, planting dates, row spacing, stand counts, to provide unbiased comparisons for both grain and fiber hemp.
The goal of these trials is to provide unbiased, uniform comparison of cultivars under a well-established standard protocol. So we plant 7.5-inch spacing, 6-row cone cedar, 20 feet long. We've been doing that for a while. For the grain plots, we used to, under Luis's management, we would actually plant 3 passes of the planter. So we had 18 rows per cultivar. This year, just to save on resources, and because some of the seed was short, we only planted a single pass in the grain trial.
So this year, a big factor was the weather. Too wet, too dry. These things have consequences.
Trying to identify the optimum planting date for different cultivars is really important. So we had a very wet May, and then it stopped raining. And the trial, the first grain planting date actually probably got flooded, and we had some poorer germination because of overly wet soils. And then it stopped raining, and we got crusting. You can see that this soil is pretty susceptible to crusting. And if you get crust even like this, the hemp seeds will only start coming up through the cracks in the crust. And when you see that, you know that you're not going to get good stand establishment.
Jacob Bish described harvesting these plots by hand and with a small Almaco combine, and he admitted he's still learning the ropes.
So this is my first year running this multi-state trial. I've definitely learned a lot from Luis and Larry and their experience in years past, and I'm very excited to have you all here to show this off.
So after talking about the trials, the conversation turned to seed distribution. Terry Moran of Kanda Hemp explained that his company imports and supplies large volumes of fiber seed.
I think the real concern is cost per acre and high quality seed in the bag. And, I believe we've really improved our standards on that, and we'll continue to improve our standards and hold a high standard. That's my goal, is to have the highest quality seed in the bag nationwide, and stuff that works from South Texas, Central Florida, to the Vermont border.
Next up, our neighbors from the north, up there in Ontario, it was Reuben and Keenan Stone from UniSeeds. They shared their experience breeding hemp since 2010. Their flagship variety, Anka, was the first certified hemp seed in North America back in 1998, and it remains a mainstay. In his introduction, Larry Smart said that it was Reuben and Keenan who
sent us our first seed, sent us a huge 51,000 pounds of seed when Governor Cuomo wanted to be the top in the nation in planting hemp in 2017.
By 2017, Reuben and Keenan had been at this for a while.
Yeah, I got to thank Cuomo, I guess, for that order, because I know Larry's a much better planner than Cuomo was, because I'm pretty sure that call came May 20th, something like that.
Something like that.
To get this seed down here. And I thought, who's this Larry guy? Call him another crazy American. Anyway, we're pretty close, actually. We're neighbors
Got
next
it all
door.
planted by July 15th. So.
Yeah, it all went in. Anyway, we're 5 hours directly straight north of here, and started growing hemp in 2009. We got into seed genetics the next year, 2010, and we started our own breeding program in 2011. And Anka is our main variety, first variety registered to certified seed in North America back in 1998, and it's still our mainstay variety across Canada and down here as well too. UniSeeds, we sell seed into France, Europe, Austria, 3 varieties registered now in Europe and around the world too.
Next up was Corbett Mitteff and Reuben Destiche from KonopiUS. They also had a lot to say about seed supply.
My name's Reuben Destiche. I'm with KonopiUS. We are seed importers and distributors as well. Our primary partner is in France, Hempits. They're responsible for the Futura out here, which is probably our most common variety. We too, like Terry said, we're gearing up for next year, looking for ordering early. Really helps get those orders over here in time.
Corby called Futura the commercial standard, bred for decades in France's canal-watered hemp fields. But demand is outpacing supply, and seed shortages are now their biggest hurdle.
The global demand now is just increasing every year, so not only we're selling the seed in Europe, but we're selling it through America, South America now, Africa. And so we're just trying to increase that seed and bring it about. And since we're here, like Terry said and Reuben, we got seed. We've got limited availability, so get your seed orders in early, and we'll get you the seed.
Cornell weed scientist Lynn Sosnoskie gave one of the most practical talks of the afternoon: weed control and what sort of chemistry is available.
As far as herbicides go, we have one. That is our product. Sonalan, the active ingredient, is ethafluralin. It's primarily effective against grass species, but it can suppress some small-seeded annual broadleaves.
She warned growers not to expect post-emergent options anytime soon. Hemp is just too sensitive to most chemistries. Instead, she emphasized integrated strategies: planting vigor, rotation, stale seedbeds, and careful sanitation of equipment to prevent the spread of pigweed and water hemp.
One thing I do want to mention while we're standing here, and we've got the combine back there, is combine clean out. And this is for any grain crop that you're growing. And I know some of you are going to say, Lynn, do you know how hard it is to clean a combine out? And yeah, I do. It is hard, but I want to let you know that we really have to be focused on combine clean out. We have to be focused on the weed seeds that we are moving from field to field, especially because we have Palmer amaranth in New York State now. We have water hemp in New York State. These are 2 pigweed species. They are exceptionally competitive with our crops. They are spreading. You do not want to have one of these weeds get established, in the fields that you're going to want to be planting 2 crops where we have very few options of weed control.
The afternoon closed in the field with equipment demonstrations. Andrew Bish showed off his fiber-cut sickle bar mower.
We offer this in an 8-foot, a 10-foot, a 12-foot, and a 14-foot farm. That makes it the largest multi-tier sickle mower in the world that we're aware of.
And then Andrew's brother Jacob Bish followed up with demonstrations of a seed harvest, running a John Deere 9510 with a MacDon 960 header. Then he showed how the McHale baler with the hemp attachment works for baling hemp straw. There was a part of the afternoon festivities that I missed. I had to take a break and check in on my job here at Lancaster Farming. I had a quick call with Candace back in the main office, and then I finally caught up with the group. But by that point, I had missed Larry's explanation of his planting date trial with the variety Ursa Grande, a dual-purpose grain and fiber variety developed right there at Cornell. So I think the gist of the trial is to determine how early or late you can plant it and how you can fit it into a rotation that will bring added value to the farmer. And I'm sure if I don't have that right, Larry will let me know. So finally, the field day ended back at the facility where they keep the mobile decorticator. It's the Formation Ag Fiber Track 660. It's mounted on a trailer, and every time they want to use it, they have to pull it out of the barn. It seems like a hassle, but Larry said they have a plan, and they have money for a new facility.
The state budgeted for us $5 million for what we call the bioeconomy hub. It's all capital equipment money. There's no operation money or salary money. So don't send me your resume because I can't hire anyone. But $3 million of that will be to build a building that can house all of this equipment. So our intention is to take it off the trailer, put it into a building that's built to the specs that our code enforcement officer will agree to. If you do want to buy a trailer with basically 0 miles on it, I would probably then sell you a trailer.
Larry described the plans for further innovation and collaboration through the bioeconomy hub. And he mentioned, almost in passing, the 4-acre field of flax that was growing right on the other side of the driveway from where we were standing.
Questions about that? Eric?
When's the flax field day?
So I tried very hard. This is our first big field of flax. Well, we did grow 2 acres of flax last year. I tried very hard to get the Fuller, Turner, and Baylor up here from PA Flax Project. I'm not sure it's going to work out. This crop, they told me, based on their experience, it should be harvested when it's golden brown.
It's not golden brown yet.
It's not golden brown. It was golden brown when it got really dry and hot, and now it's rained a bit and it's turned green again.
It looks really nice.
It's pretty weed-free.
It looks better than anything I saw in PA this year.
Thank you. I used herbicide, by the way. All their funding comes through the organic crop system, so they are not using herbicide. So again, herbicide makes a big difference. But you go back and talk to Heidi and Bill, tell them how nice the field looks, and that they should bring their Fuller, Turner, and Baylor up.
Yeah, so now my gears are turning, right? How are we going to harvest that flax? It seems like there are some logistical issues with actually bringing that equipment from Pennsylvania to pull it. So I'm thinking, hey, let's organize a community day where we go to Geneva in October and we pull it and we bundle it by hand like they did in the old days, right? Who's with me? I don't hear anyone. Come on, who's with me? Call me, send me an email. Let's do this. All right, let's go to Geneva and harvest 4 acres of flax by hand in October. Probably an administrative nightmare for Larry and the folks at Cornell, but, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So, all right, and then it was over. The whole day was over. Just like this episode is over. But just like in real life, there is more waiting for you. My next episode will continue this trip to Geneva. I am the luckiest man in the world. Sometimes I think so. On Friday, September 12th, I got a tour of the Agritech campus and the USDA germplasm repository with Christine Smart. She's the director of the Agritech campus. She's a plant pathologist, and she's amazing, super smart. And then I spent some more time with Larry Smart, checked out some of his research and projects, and then I sat down for an interview with Luis Monserrate, and we talked about all kinds of stuff. And then my last stop in Geneva was a visit with Jane Hamilton. She's a PhD student in Chris Smart's lab. She's studying the effects of UV light on powdery mildew on hemp. It's fascinating stuff at Cornell, and I am so grateful that I have this opportunity. It's like a behind-the-scenes look at one of the most cutting-edge agricultural research institutions in the world. I get to spend time with like the world's leading plant scientists, right? Like these young PhD students are going to be the leaders of the future, and I know them now. So yeah, I am really grateful for my time up there in Cornell, and I am really grateful to Larry and Chris for your hospitality, generosity, and kindness. And yeah, anyway, so next week we're going to dig into all of that. But for now, I got to get out of here. They're turning the lights out on me. Oh no. So my name is Eric Hurlock. I'm the senior digital editor here at Lancaster Farming Newspaper, the greatest agricultural newspaper in the world. Check us out online at lancasterfarming.com. Send me an email if you want. Send it to ehurlock@lancasterfarming.com. Until next time, I'll see you in the newspaper.
This episode of The Hemp Show was written, recorded, and produced by Eric Hurlock. Mixing and mastering by Justin Berger. Music by Eric Hurlock. The Hemp Show is copyright 2025 by Lancaster Farming Newspaper, part of the Steinman Communications family.